I thought, with Sue Bird coming in, at least this is someone that has been positive on Caitlin at times. And I think the issue with Sue Bird, though, is she has her hand kind of in so many things. And between with her podcast, where she tries to advocate for the players, but she's also an owner in the league. And now she's got the Team USA thing, and she's got all these connections and relationships she has to maintain. But at the end of the day, if it comes down to someone that went to UConn and someone that did not go to UConn, the UConn Mafia is going to stick together until proven otherwise.
Team USA has managed to spark one of the most avoidable controversies in the history of women's basketball. Caitlin Clark, the most talked about player in the game right now, reportedly told officials she would step away entirely if they demanded she surrender her signature number 22. Sue Bird is now rushing to repair the chaos, but at this point, the damage may already be set in stone. The situation grows messier by the day, and the fallout could shift everything. Share your thoughts below. Would you turn down the chance to represent your country because of a jersey number? Or is Caitlin reacting too strongly? I want to hear both perspectives. Footage appears to show Team USA insisting that Caitlin Clark give up her well-known number 22 in exchange for a different one. Let's cut right to the chase. Team USA basketball has executed one of the most baffling acts of sabotaging themselves that I've ever witnessed in pro sports. They confronted the one athlete who brought millions of new viewers to women's basketball, the same athlete whose popularity eclipses most of the league, and told her she couldn't use the number that has defined her entire career. And then they seemed stunned when she essentially responded, "Then I'm not coming." According to several reports, during preparations for the December training camp, officials told Caitlin she would not be allowed to wear number 22, the same number she has worn since childhood, the number fans instantly associate with her everywhere. The number that has become as inseparable from her brand as 23 is from Michael Jordan, and Caitlin's answer was reportedly unmistakable. If she can't wear her number, she's not attending. Period. Sue Bird, serving as Team USA's managing director, is said to be scrambling to understand how everything spiraled so far out of control. And honestly, panic is warranted because this is not a scheduling mistake or a minor mix-up. This is a full-scale crisis that makes the program look either totally unprepared or blatantly disrespectful. Neither option reflects well on an organization that wants to be seen as the top women's basketball program in the world.
We haven't even made it to training camp yet. We have not even made it to the December 12th Women's USA Basketball training camp yet, and they are already disrespecting Caitlin Clark.
Here's what makes this entire situation even more ridiculous. The number 22 wasn't assigned to anyone. No player at the training camp was using it. It was sitting there untouched, fully available, completely unused. Team USA didn't need to force a change for any kind of conflict resolution. They decided to do it anyway, and that choice is what shifts this from a routine detail into something that feels intentionally designed to remind Caitlin of her place. And fans are not accepting it. The timing makes it even worse. This controversy erupted only days before Team USA's important training camp in North Carolina, scheduled for December 12th through 14th. The camp was intended to showcase rising stars like Paige Buckers and Juju Watkins.
Because we ultimately know she was snubbed from the cover of Team USA, and not only is they snubbing her, the disrespect is continuing because it's looking like Team USA is forcing Caitlin Clark to change her number. Now, this article has come out.
It was supposed to celebrate emerging talent and highlight the next era of American basketball dominance. Instead, it became the backdrop for one of the strangest and most unnecessary controversies in recent sports memory. All because someone decided Caitlin Clark, the most visible athlete in women's basketball, needed to lose a key part of her identity. Let me make this absolutely clear. Caitlin Clark's number 22 is the single most recognizable number in women's sports right now. There is no debate. There is no alternate viewpoint. Casual watchers and hardcore fans alike know that number instantly. It symbolizes her impossible shooting range, her passing ability that embarrasses defenders, and her relentless competitiveness. For millions, that number is not just fabric and ink, it's a symbol of her excellence, a marker of everything she's achieved, and a central piece of her brand. And Team USA decided she should wear number 17 instead. 17, a number with no meaning, no backstory, and no tie to anything Caitlin has
honestly,
built.
I'm not a very creative person. I was born on January 22nd, so It's what I went with when I was about 5 years old, so.
The only thing notable about 17 is that it isn't 22. That's literally the entire point. This decision wasn't about planning. It was about power. It was about reminding her that no matter how influential she becomes, the organization still wants to call the shots. And Caitlyn's response basically said, then you can do it without me. What makes this sting even more is the context. Everyone remembers the moment she was left off the Olympic roster, despite being the most famous name in women's basketball and a proven ratings magnet. That decision alone raised questions about whether Team USA understood the cultural moment unfolding around them. But now when you add this forced number change, it no longer looks like isolated mistakes. It looks like a pattern of shrinking her influence. Fans are making connections. First, she's snubbed from the Olympics, even though she brought unprecedented attention to the sport. Then she's told to give up the most recognizable part of her brand for absolutely no reason. It's easy to see why some believe Team USA is uncomfortable with how influential Caitlyn has become. She's more famous than the league. She's more famous than the program itself. And institutions rarely handle shifting power dynamics gracefully. Now, let's look at Sue Bird's position. She chose this training camp roster. She's in charge of maintaining relationships and shaping the program's future. And instead of focusing on basketball, growth, and global dominance, she's stuck trying to put out a PR wildfire that her own organization started. Sources say Sue has swung between frustration and outright panic as she tries to fix this without making the situation worse. But here's the harsh reality she and Team USA are realizing. Caitlyn holds all the leverage. She doesn't need Team USA to validate her career or strengthen her legacy. She has already done that. She shattered records at Iowa that may never be broken. She elevated the WNBA's visibility and ratings to levels nobody predicted. She has drawn sponsors, national attention, and mainstream visibility to women's basketball in ways no previous player has. What does she gain by sacrificing her brand identity to participate in a program that clearly doesn't respect her the way it should? Team USA, however, loses almost everything if she decides to walk away. They lose their brightest star. They lose the cultural momentum she brings. They lose the millions of new supporters who showed up for her. They lose media buzz, sponsorship deals, and the narrative that US women's basketball is entering a new era. Caitlyn withdrawing would be a catastrophe for them, and Sue Bird knows it. That's why she's scrambling. The official training camp roster lists Caitlyn as number 17. It's written right there, confirming that this wasn't speculation. They actually forced the change. And when you look closely at the entire roster, you can see that no one else is wearing 22. It's wide open. They could have allowed her to keep it, but they actively chose not to. They chose this battle. They created this controversy, and now they're stuck dealing with the consequences. This situation also exposes deeper issues in women's sports that go beyond a single player or number. WNBA athletes have been outspoken for years about being undervalued, underpaid, and overlooked, even as they generate massive growth. When you treat the most influential player of her generation like she's replaceable, you reinforce the same systemic disrespect female athletes have fought against for decades. This ties directly into the tense CBA negotiations happening now, and the real threat of a lockout, because players are tired of being treated like they should be grateful for the bare minimum. That's why this jersey number dispute hits so hard. It's not truly about the number. It's about what that number symbolizes: respect, recognition, and the understanding that Caitlyn Clark has earned the right to set boundaries. When she says something is non-negotiable, she's not acting entitled. She's standing up for herself in a system that has repeatedly tried to shrink female athletes, and plenty of people admire her for it. Some have pointed out that other stars like Aja Wilson and Cameron Brink also wear number 22. That's true, but historically, it has never caused major conflict. Players handle it privately and respectfully. There have been all-star events where multiple players shared the same number, and they worked things out without USA Basketball inserting itself. The reasonable approach would have been letting Caitlyn and Aja talk if they were actually going to be at the same event wearing that number. Instead, USA Basketball created an issue that didn't exist and forced a decision that satisfied no one. Their handling of this shows a complete misunderstanding of Caitlyn's value and influence. Organizations get used to running things with certain power structures, and they don't always see when those structures have shifted. USA Basketball still behaves as if they're doing Caitlyn a favor by inviting her. They haven't realized that the dynamic has flipped entirely. She's the one doing them a favor by showing up. At the end of the day, this situation isn't really about a number stitched onto the front of a jersey. It's about something much bigger, something that has been simmering beneath the surface of women's sports for years, but is finally boiling over because Caitlin Clark has enough visibility, influence, and sheer star power to expose it. This is about respect. It's about recognizing the value of the athletes who are carrying the sport to new heights and acknowledging that the old ways of operating simply don't work anymore. The world has changed. Fans have changed. The entire landscape of women's basketball has shifted, and Team USA seems to be the one group pretending not to notice. Caitlin Clark didn't ask for special treatment. She isn't demanding the world revolve around her. She just wants the same basic level of dignity and professional respect that any historically transformative player would expect. And if the most recognized athlete in women's basketball can't even keep her own number when that number isn't assigned to anyone else, what message does that send to the rest of the league? What does it say about how rising talent will be treated? What does it say about how much the program values the very athletes who elevate its global reputation? This story has captured attention not because it's petty, but because it taps into a broader truth that fans can no longer ignore. Women athletes have always been expected to be grateful, to take whatever scraps they're given, to smile and stay quiet even when they're the ones driving the growth, filling stadiums, raising TV ratings, and generating cultural momentum. Caitlin refusing to back down isn't a diva moment. It's a line in the sand. It's a reminder that athletes have power, and they don't have to accept disrespect disguised as bureaucracy. And here's the reality Team USA must face. They need Caitlin far more than Caitlin needs them. She brings a spotlight no marketing budget could buy. She pulls in audiences that national programs dream about, and she's doing it not because she's manufactured or hyped, but because she's earned it, because she's delivered night after night, season after season. So now the question becomes, will Team USA adapt to the new era of women's basketball, or will they continue clinging to outdated power structures that push away the very talent capable of taking the sport to unimaginable heights? Because this isn't just Caitlin's fight, it's a turning point, and the whole world is watching to see how it ends.